Did the birth of Jesus actually happen on Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets? When you follow the priestly divisions in Luke, the pregnancy timeline of Elizabeth, and the exact dates of temple service, a shocking picture emerges, and it points to a moment of divine coronation that most Christians have never heard about. Hi, this is Mark Bates. This is Rabbit Room Apologetics, and today's topic is the case for the birth of Christ on Yom Teruah based on the priestly clans and Elizabeth's birth of John the Baptist. Okay, you'll find all this data primarily in Luke, along with the appropriate links back to the Old Testament to get the source material. But this is just more evidence for the timing of Christ's birth. Now, once again, I'm not trying to dissuade you on December 25th. It's a great time of year to communally worship Christ's birth and for us to have all those wonderful Christmas gatherings at church and such. But it's important to also make sure we're properly measuring and watching God's timeline. Because while he doesn't give us the exact date that Christ is returning, Christ did tell us, look for the signs and you'll see that my coming is very imminent. And I think that those signs are happening right as we're speaking. So we just have to kind of dig deeper for some of this stuff. So let's look at the timing at the priestly service and John the Baptist's birth. And once again, you'll find all this in Luke. So Zechariah, John the Baptist's father, belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His service in the temple is a key chronological anchor. The division of Abijah served during a specific week in the Jewish calendar, which can be precisely dated. The second service of the division of Abijah began on the Sabbath of Shesvan 15, right? Which corresponds to early November, essentially, right? Remember, we're looking for basically a 3 BC date for Christ's birth, so John would just be a little bit before that. After Zechariah completed his service, right, and this is all in Luke, John the Baptist was conceived, adding approximately 40 weeks leads to John's birth around Elul 29, right, in the Jewish calendar, which corresponds to approximately early September, right, in 3 BC. This places John's birth near the end of the Jewish civil year. So, let's look at Elizabeth's pregnancy and Mary's visit. According to Luke, Mary visited Elizabeth when Elizabeth was about 6 months pregnant. This implies that Jesus' conception occurred approximately 6 months after John's conception, right? Because remember, the baby was still brand new in Mary. If John was born in early September, then give or take, then Jesus' conception would be around the Jewish festival of Pentecost, right? About 110 days later. Counting 40 weeks, right, about 280 days from Pentecost leads to Jesus' birth on Nisan 1, the first day of the Jewish religious year, which coincides with Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, a day of new beginnings and divine inauguration. Once again, just more evidence to why I date Jesus' birth on Yom Teruah. There's great significance to why Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets. It's a day of new beginnings. Yom Teruah, the first day of the Jewish civil year, Tishri 1, is a day marked by trumpet blasts, symbolizing a call to repentance and the inauguration of a new year. It is also associated with the coronation of kings and renewal of creation. Okay? The birth of Messiah on this day would symbolically represent a new beginning for Israel and the world, aligning with the theological significance of Jesus as the inaugurator of a new kingdom, covenant, and kingdom. And there's biblical support and calendar calculations support this timeline. So day-to-day calculations from priestly service. By starting with the known date of Zechariah's priestly service and moving forward day by day, the timeline aligns with John's birth in early September, right? On approximately 1 Nisan, right? Which is Yom, right? I'm sorry, John's birth in early September, Jesus' birth on 1st of Nisan, which is Yom Teruah. The calculation accounts for 40 to 41 weeks of pregnancy and the 6-month gap between John's and Jesus' conceptions. This model fits well with the biblical narrative of Mary staying with Elizabeth for about 3 months and the timing of John's circumcision and presentation at the temple. So real quickly, at a glance, Zechariah's service in the temple was on Cheshvan 15, right? Which is early November. Okay? You have John the Baptist's birth, which would be on Elul 29, early September, about 40 weeks after Zechariah's service. Jesus' conception would be around Pentecost, right? Around May or June, right? 6 months after John's conception. Jesus' birth would be on the 1st of Nisan, Yom Teruah, 40 weeks after conception, the start of a new year. This timeline supports the idea that Jesus was born on Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, which is the first day of the Jewish civil year and the day of divine significance. The 6-month gap between John and Jesus, grounded in priestly service and Elizabeth's pregnancy, provides a strong chronological framework for this conclusion. So, the information is there. It's all in the Bible. You just have to dig a little deeper, maybe, than you've done before. This case integrates priestly service timing, Elizabeth's pregnancy, into the Jewish festival significance to argue that Christ's birth occurred on Yom Teruah, symbolizing a new beginning and divine inauguration. All right, so we have all that. If you liked it or you have questions, leave them in the comments. Also, in the description, you'll find 2 links. One for my Bible study platform. It's $10 a month. We give you all the videos with full transcription so you can follow along and dig deep. We also have courses where we have lots of videos that are not on the YouTube channel for you to follow along with. We do have ongoing call-in shows where you can call in and ask questions, and I'll try to answer them as best I can right then and there. I will take notes and we'll follow up with any questions. And most importantly, we're building a community. And in that community, you can read, ask questions in the community. I will answer all community questions fully. And I will also, allow, and there's plenty of time in here. I'm sorry, I won't allow you, but you will have the ability to ask questions, to talk to others, to give your opinions, to tell us what you believe. And we're not trying to force anything down your throat. We want to know what everyone's thinking. So have it in there. So think about joining that. It would help us a great deal supporting the channel. So thank you all. Have a great time, and we'll talk to you very soon.